I grew up in Oklahoma, Chickasha, Oklahoma. It's in central Oklahoma, right about 50 miles from Oklahoma City. We had 8 kids in my family, 8 of us, and went to high school there, graduated, and worked for the penny company for a while, and they moved me up to Anthony, Kansas. And I went into service from Anthony, Kansas. I did prior military training though in the Oklahoma National Guard for 2 hitches. And so I knew a little bit about it. I said, when they want me, they'll call me. So I didn't volunteer. I started out as a second lieutenant out of OCS in Fort Knox, Kentucky. As hundreds of others, was moved to the Armored Division. I was a platoon leader, which is 5 tanks. And then you move on up the line, and I finally got to be a captain. We went in on D-30. That's 30 days after D-Day. It was an armored division, and we were used to break through. We're always used to break through. The infantry comes behind us and holds the area. The tanks are used to break through and keep going. So when they secured the beaches and everything, which they were when we went in, I didn't see any dead bodies, but there were thousands of them we lost. They were all picked up. You know, Patton always says, I don't want to ever hear one of my officers tell me we're holding something. And he used his favorite language. You're not holding anything. The only thing we want you to hold on to is the GD Germans and kill the bastards. That's Patton. He was an eloquent speaker for the first 10 minutes. And then he was something else. One of the finest generals I think we've ever had. We always called him blood and guts, our blood and his guts. That's about the way it worked. A tank is like a cavalry. We had in the early days here, you had horses and you rode into it. But the tank's the same way. When they're mobile, more mobile, and they got an engine. Our job was to hit the line and go through it, cause all the destruction we can behind the line. And sure, if we got out of the tanks, if it was in a safe area, but we couldn't. I've been in 3 or 4 days not outside of a tank. Patton always insisted, and so did my division commander, Jack Woods, General Woods. In fact, they were classmates at West Point together. Insisted that we shave every day. Well, that was ridiculous. You couldn't shave every day. We didn't have electric razors in those years. So what we did, we shaved when we damn well could and didn't pay attention. We didn't let anybody have a long beard, but they'd be fairly woolly. And we had that steel helmet, and it acts as a bathtub, a urinal, or whatever we need. You ever see this tank out here at the American? Well, that is a larger tank than we had, by far. And there's just 4 in that one. We had 5. They had a driver, a gunner, an assistant driver down front, and the turret. We had the commander, we had the gunner, we had the guy that shot the gun, and we had the loader. So there's 5 of them. And it was this tank we have out here is probably, our tank was about 2/3 that size, awful small. Of course, you had your infantry there with you. I had a platoon of infantry when I was a platoon leader, and we had to more or less take care of our infantry. They were down there on the ground in foxholes. And we had a little monkey stove there that made by Coleman in Wichita. And a little gas monkey stove, we called it. And part of the stove was carrier. You could make coffee in that, or whatever you wanted, whatever you could get. And we tried to take care of our infantry the best we could. But when it snows that deep and the enemy were everywhere, you had a heck of a time taking care of your infantry. But we did all right. Well, those memories are just flash in the pan. You do what you're asked to do, and you do it. You don't dwell on it. I guess one of the bloodiest battles we had was we were called out of the line. We were just about 10 miles from going into Germany with my division. We were the lead unit going in first through their line. And then we pulled out of the line. They said, you'll have about 5 days to get equipped. You know, an armored division is something that has to, a vehicle, it has to be serviced. We needed tracks on it. We only had 8 or 15 tanks. And we got a call, what we call a commander's call, about 10 o'clock at night. So we all went up. I went up there with the company commander at that time and was told that we're going to Logsdon. 101st Airborne is encircled up there and they need to get out. And we had the snow about that deep. I have some pictures of that, not here. And I was always willing to voice my opinion, but usually it's the wrong time, and that was the wrong time. I said, hell, Colonel, we only have 8 tanks out of 15, and 2 of them are down, and they were. We're changing the engine in one, putting new wheels on the other. We didn't have wheels, but tracks. They were a Caterpillar type. And he looked at me and he said, Logsdon, we're going to be moving here at 0400 with or without you. I said, I'll be with you. So we moved into Logsdon, and that was Patton just pulled his whole line out of the 3rd Army out of the line, shifted to 90 degrees straight north. That's 128 miles, especially as an officer. You couldn't show any weakness. You were a dead duck if you did. You had a bunch of men who were depending on you to make the right decision. And we didn't make the right decision all the time. No one did. The American people have no idea what in the hell we were going to solve. You have no idea, and as much as we explain it to you, you still can't understand why a man's inhumanity to man is beyond comprehension. The first one I took there was a small one. That was Ordor on the back. That was a small concentration camp, and we found bodies scattered all over the yard. Of course, when the guards saw us coming, well, they vamoosed. And General Eisenhower came up to see that. And George Patton was there, my Army commander. And he went behind one of the buildings and upchucked. You couldn't tell. And it was just terrible. Then we moved on. We didn't stop long enough, maybe half a day, something like that. We moved on, and then we got down into Germany further, and we ran into this one. Now that was a big one. They told us there were 20,000 people. I have no way of knowing that, because I saw a lot of them in the trench, dead. Women, kids, men. You've seen these slip silos. You've been out here long enough. You can feature that 2 blocks long or a block long. It's about 20 feet deep. bodies piled in. Naturally, the guards took off, those that we couldn't kill, or weren't killed by our own infantry. And the gates were open as people started coming out. And the lady walking down the side of the tank, they had a point down the road, maybe 2 miles or a mile, I don't know how far it was, where they'd bring them back and put DDT on their bodies and feed them. Eventually, I don't know, it was very fast. We didn't know what the heck we was getting into anyway, and that wasn't my job anyway. And she's walking inside the tank, and she stopped and said, "Anyone want to talk to me?" And I said, "Sure." And it's obvious she'd been in a POW camp, I'll tell you. She was a college graduate and taught in Germany at a university. She was Jewish. And she's just waiting to be cremated like the rest of them, or shot or something. And she got out. We talked quite a while. And I was a first lieutenant at that time. I told my tank commander, "This lady's hungry, give her some food." So we broke out some candy bars and gave her a K ration. And I warned her, I said, "Now this candy bar, you eat it slowly, it'll make you ill. You haven't had anything to eat since 3 or 4 days." And I said, "You do as I tell you." And she said, "I want to come to the United States and teach in university." Perfect English. Better English than I use. And I'm sorry I didn't get her name and give her my name, but we were told not to do that. I was told not to do a lot of things we did, pay attention to that, but I just didn't think of it at the time. But she probably got to the United States. That bronze star there, if you will notice there are 5 of them on that ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
That's for the 5 battles that I was in. There's this little bronze star there. No one can explain it to where you'll understand and get the feeling in it. That's the big thing about war and some calamities like that. If you haven't been in one, you have no idea what the troops are going through. I've seen kids that come in with replacements. We get a tank knocked out, we usually lose the tank as well as 5 men, sometimes just 4. Because those things burn like boom with 90 octane gas. And kids lay there in the aid station crying for mother. About 18 years old, 17 years old. I was an old man. I was 22. And that's a tearjerker. The doctors do everything they can. Great doctors. But they couldn't do miracles. No one can. No one can get that feeling. It's not been there. We were just about as unprepared as we are now to go to war. That's a true statement. Every encounter we've been in since I've been alive, we were never ready. Never. I'm John Logsdon. I was with the United States Army. Went to OCS, got my commission, Fort Knox, Kentucky, and worked my way up to a first lieutenant, and then was promoted to a captain. We had trench foot over there so bad. I lost one of the best sergeants I ever had. Wound up in the hospital out here in Colorado. Lost 2 or 3 toes. Had to amputate. You got your gasoline at night and your ammunition that you requested you had. They came up in trucks, and each tank had 5 pair of cotton wool socks. When you gave those wool socks to the truck driver, you got clean ones back. Now they decided, hey, you guys take we don't want those stinking feet. Oh, they were bad. But yes, I was able to avoid all that because about in the middle of the war, I got a new pair of boots from home. And I took the others and threw them away.